All right, this is part 3 of the Idaho State Police Reports document deep dive, and I realize I'm extremely behind the scene, behind the times, if you will, if you're watching this video. I started part 1 and 2 pretty quick, not too far behind everybody else, but then life took over, and I had a shit ton of stuff going on. If you don't know, on my channel, I cover 3 cases. Long Island serial killer is one of those, and that picked up big last week. I had a big interview with John Ray, and I have a big interview coming up tomorrow. And so that's taken over, and there's a million things that happen. So I'm way behind, but I want to try to finish my thoughts on some of this stuff, because some of you say that even though it's like 2 weeks and $1 short on me delivering it, you still want to hear my take. So let me point out another thing about the Moscow versus Idaho document release from the police departments to explain the differences and excuse a little bit of a bad behavior on my part. When I did part 2, I had already read ahead enough to do part 3, which is what I'm going to record today. And I did that a week and a half ago, or whatever it was. It seems like it's been forever. So I have highlighted sections that I have already read a long time ago. In my mind now, as the weeks have been blending together, I feel like I've already talked about this stuff because I read it, but I didn't actually talk about it, I think. God, I'd be embarrassed if I already did the recording. But I'm pretty sure when I looked at my history, part 2 is as far as I got on the Idaho State Police Reports. And so this is part 3, and I believe it'll be all new content. The last thing I want to say about the Idaho versus Moscow thing is, in Moscow police reports, they gave you at least the first and last initials of people's names. And so you oftentimes could figure out, if you knew the major players, who people were. In Idaho, they completely block out every part of the name and extra details. It's more redacted and much more difficult sometimes to get it right. And so with the combination of me having read this over a week ago, and now the names are completely blacked out with no hints, I'm probably going to get something wrong on who it is I'm talking about in the report. So I apologize for that. But I'm still going to give my best shot at it, because I feel like the parts that I highlighted aren't so much as important to who said it as what's being said. I'll explain that as we get into it. In addition, maybe partway through a document, as I'm reading it, there'll be a clue that reminds me who exactly is speaking, and then I'll clarify it there. Like, oh, that sentence right there makes it clear that this is Bethany, for example, speaking. What I might not have started out by, like, hey, it's some unknown, female, age 22 or whatever. I might later on go, oh, that sentence means this has to be Bethany. So bear with me on this report. I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. For those of you who feel the need to correct me all the time when I make a mistake, that's perfectly fine. I have no problem being corrected, but I'm going to make some mistakes, but I probably will catch a fair number of them. All right, let's get right into the deep dive, part 3. I'm going to get it up on screen for you here. This is the Idaho State Police documents. I'm on page 30. I think we're going to go to about page 50 when we get done with this. Lots of stuff that I caught, and I'm just sharing it with you. This is old news to a lot of you. Again, I cover 3 cases, not just one. Some people have their entire channel is this case and this case only, so they beat me to it all the time. Enough of that. This is on November 18th, 2022, an interview. There are 2 people interviewed here. There's 2 reports back to back. One is a male, one is a female. I believe the male is the roommate of Jack DeCour based on context. So Jack DeCour, major player in this. Jack DeCour lived in a house near 1122 King Road residence, was ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Gonzalez. Most people say the 2 of them had an amicable relationship. They were getting along fine. Some indications are that Jack DeCour was not ready to move on, that he was upset and maybe having mental health issues. So majority of stories out there, Jack DeCour was perfectly fine, super nice guy, one of the kindest people I've ever met. That's what the consistent narrative is on Jack DeCour, and that may in fact be the case. It seems like Jack seems like a nice guy every time you see him on camera. However, other indications are that motive was he was not okay with Kaylee moving on with her life, and he was not in agreement with the breakup. He still wanted to be with her. He still loved her. He still was losing the love of his life, and that is a motive in anyone's book. So as we watch the people talk positively about Jack DeCour and no way he could have been involved, let's pay attention to the fact that motive-wise, he has probably the better motive out of anyone, including the whole Incel, that's ridiculous. A drug angle, maybe a drug angle make more sense. But I would put top of my list if you didn't know anything else about the case. Ex-boyfriend would be the first choice I would pick every single time. Drug angle, maybe next. Incel from next door who the town over who can't get laid and just randomly picked a house, probably far down on my fucking list of what is likely to have happened. But let's get into this interview on November 18th at approximately 11:36 a.m. when in regards to this homicide, they get interviewed. The interview took place at a home in Parma, Canyon County, Idaho. Again, this next person interviewed, who's a female, is also in Parma, Canyon County, Idaho, and at roughly the same time. So I think that they're related to each other in some way. I think it's boyfriend and girlfriend. I'll explain that in a minute. This is a male, age 22, and here we go. Right off the bat, November 18th, 2022 at approximately 11:36 a.m., Homeland Security Investigation Task Force officer and Sage Collins, that's the Homeland Security guy, Sage and State Patrol, our police detective Matt Wernsing interviewed this person in regards to the homicides. Right off the bat, I want to fucking know what Homeland Security Investigations Task Force is doing on this case. I really, really struggle with this. There are only a few cases in which Homeland Security should be involved. It's not a short-handed police officer situation because Idaho State Police are interviewing this person. So it's not like Homeland Security was like, hey, you don't have to make the trip down there. We got somebody local. We can do the interview for you. No, Homeland Security is tagging in on this particular one. I have problems with that. I did pull up on ChatGPT reasons why Homeland Security would be involved. None of them fucking make any sense. I'm just going to table it for now. But the fact that Homeland Security is involved, Department of Homeland Security Investigation Task Force is involved in a random homicide by an incel in Pullman, Washington. That is an enormous red flag that something is weird with this fucking thing. The FBI being involved from day one practically and yet not charging it federally is a major red flag. Something fucking smells to high heaven, in my opinion, and I'm just going to leave it at that, on Homeland Security Task Force being involved in this in the first place, in my opinion. Now, this person was a friend of Gonsalves and Mogan. This person being interviewed is a friend of Gonsalves and Mogan and was also their neighbor across the street at such and such King Road residence, or at the King Road residence. I think this is Jack DeCour's roommate. He did not know the other victims. Gonsalves was in an on and off again relationship with one of this person's roommates. That's why I say he's Jack DeCour's roommate. So Kaylee was in an on-again, off-again relationship. That is consistent. So we know who we're talking about, I believe. Blank, blank, Jack DeCour, blank, and blank, blank, whatever. We're in the same fraternity. So it looks like they go to the same fraternity. Jack DeCour in the same fraternity as his roommate. This person being interviewed also knew Mogan's boyfriend, but he had graduated and was living in Boise. Now we know Mogan's boyfriend, Maddie Mogan's boyfriend, was in Boise. Even sent pictures of him and another woman in Boise, kind of hanging out, partying. That was part of the thing going on. I don't know that there was any jealousy going on between the two of them, but there was a comment somewhere about Maddie texting or screenshotting and getting a photo of her boyfriend with some woman in Boise. Not a big deal. Guys have female friends as well. Doesn't mean you're always sleeping with the female friend that you have a female friend with. But the point being is that I always wondered, like, hey, was there anything going on with this female that he was partying with that night? I don't know. I don't think so. He was in Boise. Let's move on. Now, he knew Gonsalves and a little more than Mogan because she had dated DeCour, and he said their relationship remained amicable. I'm going to read through the redaction and say that's DeCour. So this roommate said he knew Gonsalves a little better because she had dated his roommate and their relationship remained amicable. This is the main key. By the way, this wording from multiple people using the word amicable in itself is bothersome to me. Most people don't use the word amicable. Now, maybe the police officers are the one interjecting the word amicable, but it's a very interesting word. It just means they're on friendly basis. I get it. But if the witnesses themselves are repeating the word amicable, it also bothers me a little bit because people don't use that word in everyday parlance. How do you like that for a word? Anyways, they don't use it a whole lot. Anyways, point being is that this roommate and his girlfriend, and then it's blanked out. I believe that the next interview they're going to read is this person's girlfriend. So it's this person and his girlfriend, who I think is the next interview, were at his house on Saturday. His house, meaning Jack DeCour and his house. So he's roommate with Jack DeCour. They were all at, so it was Jack DeCour, This guy and his girlfriend were at the house on November 12th. This is the day before the murders, the day that they go to the club, all those things. This person's girlfriend, I think, went to the victim's house. So I think his girlfriend went to the victim's house around 10 p.m. That's what I think. So this guy's girlfriend went to the victim's house around 10 p.m. At approximately 10:45, that person, I think, Gonsalves and Mogan, got a ride to the Corner Club bar. Now, I'm guessing about this. One of the big questions that has always bothered me is that someone, Kaylee and Maddie, went to the Corner Club in Eric Gower's car that night. And it has always been redacted on who that someone is. Now, some of you may already know the answer to that question, but it seems like it's this guy's girlfriend. So this guy's girlfriend, Kaylee and Maddie, went together as a group. They also left the grub truck as a threesome. This person, Maddie and Kaylee, left the grub truck. 3 people got into the car there. And yet, over and over again, it took me forever to catch that part. It seemed like it was always Maddie and Kaylee, Maddie and Kaylee. Maddie and Kaylee went to the bar. Maddie and Kaylee came back from the bar. It was almost as if people were hiding that there was a third woman with them. Now, there's another individual, Showalter, who follows the girls to the grub truck. That's coming up later. But it always seemed odd to me that I had to catch later that, oh my God, there was a third person. In fact, we find out that there was, it's very, very clear that there was 3 of them in a group. And why is that so heavily redacted? I'm just, again, some of you may know, and I just don't. So I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. So they got a ride to the Corner Club. This person being interviewed believed they got a ride from an Uber driver named, and I believe that's going to be Eric. That's Eric Gower. He and his friends went to the Corner Club shortly after the girls left. Okay, so let me break this down. The guy being interviewed and his friends went to the club, and his friends may include Jack DeCour. Jack DeCour was at the Corner Club bar. So this guy, possibly Jack DeCour and others, went to the bar after his girlfriend maybe met up with Kaylee and Maddie, and they went to the bar as a group of girls, I think. After approximately an hour, this person who's being interviewed, I believe, spoke with Gonsalves and Mogan briefly while at the Corner Club before they left. So this guy showed up at the bar after the girls left. They show up as a group of friends. He spoke to Kaylee and Maddie briefly at the bar, and Blank told Blank the 2 girls were going to John's Alley, located at some location. Now, this is what's interesting. Again, many reports say that Maddie and Kaylee were going to another bar, to John's Alley bar. Some indications, many indications, it feels like, said the girls never made it to John's Alley. They decided instead to go to the grub truck. One indication said the girls actually made it to John's Alley and then went to the grub truck. So take whatever story you want, and I'm going to try to interject whether I think it's important or not. But keep in mind, somebody says, and we're going to read that, I think, today, that they actually made it to John's Alley. Other people said they don't know why they didn't end up at John's Alley. They actually ended up at the grub truck instead. So whether they stopped off at John's Alley or not is part of the mystery. And again, when you're asking who gives a shit, well, what happened to the girls, what happened in that house may have all stemmed from what happened at the bars that night. For you to say otherwise means that you're just not paying attention to the alternative suspects. You're just convinced it's this guy over in Pullman who just got a raging hard on in the middle of the night and decided he needed to go kill 4 people for no fucking reason whatsoever. That's the only thing that makes sense to you, instead of all the things that were going on at the bar, all of the weird, creepy behavior, people creeping on girls, the weird shit that was going on, people who were unusually around the girls, following them, conversations being said, fuck you being said to people, they're going to get you for this, Maddie. All of that shit to you makes no sense, right? That's where to throw all that shit away. It's the guy from Pullman who can't get laid who came over. You are completely asinine if you are not looking at these situations. Now, again, at the end of the day, if you ruled it all out, great and dandy. But if you didn't at least look at this, shame on you for not looking at all these shit that was going on at the bars that night. That's where the real story is at, in my opinion. But hey, at the end of the day, Brian Koberger admitted guilt. So what the fuck are we going to do about it? Anyways, I'm on a side tangent. I'm still pissed. After all is said and done, you'd think the anger would start to go away. It's not. All right. So number 5, this person being interviewed, I believe, saw that they were hanging out with another student and identified as, and I'm just going to call it out, Jack Showalter. That's what I'm thinking that redaction is. It fits the length of the blackouts. So this person being interviewed saw that they were hanging out with another student he identified as Jack Showalter, as he saw them leave the Corner Club with Showalter. This is what we know happened. I'm just making sure you're clear that I think that's exactly who it is. Blank told Blank The girls did not typically hang out with blank, Showalter, and blank, this person being interviewed, thought it was odd. So everyone said this. Showalter hanging out with the girls was odd. Everyone is saying this. Why was Showalter hanging out with the girls? He was not particularly close friends with them. Everyone thought it was odd that he followed the girls out of that bar that night and went with them to Jack's Alley or John's Alley or whatever the fuck it is, or the grub truck. Everyone thought it was odd. I don't know a single person who's been interviewed who didn't think Showalter's involvement was odd. Things going on with Showalter at the grub truck was fucking odd. But you know what? Fuck all of that. Who gives a shit? Brian Koberger admitted guilt to it. So let's just fucking forget that there was fucking odd behavior going on with the girls that night and weird shit happening. Let's just forget all of that shit. Okay, I'm still mad. All right, moving on. So this person being interviewed and so-and-so, Showalter walked to, no, maybe his girlfriend. This could be this person and his girlfriend. That may be what it is. Walked to such and such house at approximately 1:30 in the morning and stayed there. They woke up the next morning. Sunday, November 13th. That's the day the murders happened. It's sometime around 4 o'clock in the morning on November 13th. They went up and they got breakfast, and his girlfriend, I believe, drove him to his house at approximately 11:45. I'm reading through the redactions. This heavily redacted shit is super hard to get through. I believe the person being interviewed with his girlfriend went somewhere else and stayed somewhere else other than Jack DeCour's house where this guy lives. That itself should be super fucking suspicious. Just pay attention. When he shows up at the house is also super fucking suspicious, in my opinion. But Paxan, Koberger admitted guilt to the thing. So anyways, so he stayed somewhere else that night. I wonder, why are we staying somewhere else that night? Him and his girlfriend stayed somewhere else that night. They got up the next morning. They went to breakfast, and then his girlfriend drove him back to his house where he lives with Jack DeCour at 11:45 in the morning. Pretty much the time that the girls are calling 911 fucking finally. So when the girls are finally calling 911 and shit's starting to happen, that's when his girlfriend takes him back to the house. And there was only one police vehicle in front of the residence when they drove by. Now, 11:45 in the morning for a police officer to already be there, the timing doesn't seem exactly right. I can't remember exactly when they showed up. It was somewhere around that time, but it seems a little early at 11:45. But again, this is going by memory as well. He's like, I think it was 11. So anyways, whatever the case may be, when he got driven back, the police were already on the scene. That itself may be suspicious. Why is this guy coming back only after police have arrived and the investigation is on? Now, anyways, there was only one police vehicle in front of the residence when they drove up. So-and-so, I think is this person being interviewed, went outside with so-and-so and another roommate. And so-and-so watched more law enforcement respond to the scene. So-and-so then ran up to the victim's house and was there for approximately an hour and a half before returning. So-and-so was visibly upset and told this person being interviewed and somebody else, some of the girls had died and Gonsalves was one of them. I believe this is Jack DeCour who ran up to the house. Now, we see on the body-worn camera, Jack DeCour did not run up to the house. He walked casually up to officers and asked what was going on. They put him in the back of a police car for most of that time, not cuffed, not a suspect per se, but he was separated from everybody else and put in a car. Nobody else got that treatment, by the way. No, and again, super fucking suspicious if you're me. Why is Jack DeCour sitting in a police car, a squad car, when no one else is? Bethany and fucking Dylan. Let's talk about Dylan. Dylan has no shoes on. It is cold. She's freezing. She's shivering. She even asks for a blanket to be put under her feet. Do they stick fucking Dylan in the back of a police car? No, they do not. They stick Jack DeCour in the back of a police car, and he stays there the majority of the time. Some of you astutely, I love big words, right? Some of you astutely pointed out that Jack DeCour had a very convenient position in the back of the car. He gets to listen to the police chatter on the police scanner on the car, all the dispatch being talked about. He's hearing shit in the back of that car that nobody else is hearing. Privy? Savvy? Okay, there you go. We got a little reference back to freaking what? You know what I'm talking about. Fucking our little pirate dude, Jack the pirate. Savvy? All right. Anyways, point being, I digress. The point being is that Jack DeCour conveniently had himself a front row seat to police chatter the entire time. It was a great place for him if he was a suspect. But of course, Jack DeCour was never a suspect. Well, he was a suspect, but they ruled him out very quickly. Okay, I digress. Point being, I think that's who we're talking about. Now, 7. So-and-so, I think the person being interviewed, left Moscow later on Sunday. So he takes off and gets out of town. I find that fucking super weird. So you avoid Jack DeCour in your house the night of the murders that had happened. You don't arrive back at your house with Jack DeCour until the murders have happened and the police are on the scene, and then you take off and leave town. I find that super fucking suspicious. But again, nobody else did in law enforcement. So there's that. So this person claimed that he and I believe this is his girlfriend went to the grub truck on their way home from the corner club to the house where they stayed for the night. That's what I think's happening. Again, I'm trying to read through the redactions. It may not seem terribly important to you, but this stuff, all of this stuff, what's going on at the grub truck and the bar is critically important in my opinion. That's just me. That's where my gut tells me everything happened. Now, he also saw on social media, this guy who's being interviewed saw on social media Gonsalves and Mogan were at the grub truck after such and such were there. Who's that? I don't know. Then this person being interviewed thought that they had been at the grub truck between 3 and 3:30 in the morning based on when they posted to their social media. Why is this important? Well, the official story is the girls left the grub truck before 2 in the morning and were back home before 2 in the morning. So it couldn't be that they were at the grub truck at 3 to 3:30 in the morning, correct? Right. So, but he did clarify the reason why I thought they were there at 3 in the morning or 3:30 in the morning is that they posted on social media pictures of them at the grub truck around 3 to 3:30 in the morning from earlier that night. Do you follow what I'm saying? So again, the girls were alive and kicking and thinking enough to post on social media at 3:30 in the morning. What does that tell you? Well, I'm just logicking through. Many people think that the murders happened around 3 o'clock in the morning. There's people who think that the whole entire timeline has been shifted from 3 till 4 in the morning when it really happened earlier in the night. Part of me thinks that this is evidence that it didn't happen around 3:30 in the morning because the girls were posting on social media. If this guy's story can be proven. Moving on. So this person thought it was odd that so-and-so spent so much time around the two girls. I think that's Showalter. I think, again, we're constantly pointing out why the fuck is Showalter hanging around the girls? Everyone seems to want to know that. Fucking America seems to want to know that. Police apparently don't fucking care. They don't. Showalter got cleared so early, despite the fact that everyone's consistent story is, why was Showalter following the girls that night? That wasn't normal. It wasn't normal. And everybody's like, hey, move on. Nothing to see here. Showalter's heavily connected. He's got friends in high places. We ruled his ass out quickly because he's got friends in high places. That was a side tangent. Look it up. Look into the history and check that out. So this person thought it was odd that Showalter's with the two girls. That's what I think's happening. And then this person had heard that so-and-so may listen to this. So-and-so had heard, this guy being interviewed had heard that somebody specific had committed the murder, but said so-and-so went home with their other roommates, such and such, such and such, such, and he had left such and such, left the corner club. I fucking believe, in my gut, I could be wrong, I believe this is where he's saying he heard DeCour could have committed the murder. If that's the case, early on in this case, this roommate of Jack DeCour had been told that they think Jack DeCour committed the murder. I think that's what's happening here. You have to be careful with your reading. You have to watch the size of the redaction blocks. I think someone literally took copy and paste and moved the redaction box so the size stays the same the entire fucking way through the document. So when you look at the size can tell you what name was being redacted. It seems to me this is possibly the case, that this person had heard that, I'm guessing, had heard that DeCour may have committed the murder. But he said DeCour went home with other roommates and listed who those were, and he'd left the corner club. So this is the alibi story that's coming up. Jack DeCour couldn't have done it because he went home that night. People saw Jack go home that night. But I believe this roommate who fucking didn't stay there that night and fucking left town immediately afterwards, heard that Jack could have been the killer, in my opinion. Not 100% sure. I don't know how to beat that enough, but I believe that. And would regardless of whether it's Jack here or not, the point being is that early on, people had already started talking about who committed the murder. I bet you $1 million Brian Kohberger is not in that list. The people who are saying, I think so-and-so did the murder, that's the part you need to take away. I give a shit whether it's Jack DeCour or somebody else. What you need to take away is people were talking about who they thought committed the murder shortly afterward, long before Brian Kohberger's name was mentioned. Nobody fucking was talking about Brian Kohberger at this point. I guarantee you. Kohberger's name didn't come in for like a month later before Kohberger was even identified. So this is not Kohberger that they're looking for. There are people who have rumors that they know who killed the girls early on in this investigation. I think they believed it was Jack. That was the rumor that was going around. Now, Somebody, fourth roommate, so there was multiple roommates with Jack, I believe, blank worked at blank, but could have gone home around 4 a.m. after closing down. There were also 2 more students that lived above blank, and blank, the 4 roommates, which I believe includes Jack DeCour. So there was somebody who lived above them, and they were hanging out with blank before they all went to bed. Again, alibi. This is talking, I 100% believe this is talking about Jack DeCour. There were rumors that Jack DeCour had committed the murders, but Jack DeCour was home with a bunch of roommates, and there were people who lived above Jack DeCour were establishing Jack's alibi. But this person got the fuck out of there, didn't stay there that night, and fucking didn't come back until the crime scene was being investigated. Now, blank told blank that he had been woken up between 4:45 and 4 and 4:45 in the morning because blank and Gonsalves's dog had been barking very loudly and uncontrollably. It sounded as though the dog was outside, which was odd because of how cold it was and the dog not being an outside dog. So I don't know who all the redactions are, but somebody's reporting that they heard the dog barking between 4 and 4:45 in the morning, and they thought it was weird because the dog was not an outside dog. Murphy is the most magical fucking teleporting dog I've ever seen. I got a whole video about it. Part 2 is all about magical Murphy, the fucking teleporting Sasquatch time-traveling motherfucking dog who's inside the house, outside the house, not covered in blood, all over the crime scene. That dog is reported everywhere. Anyways. So this person, I think being interviewed, did not know the 2 roommates that were not injured. So they didn't know Kaylee and didn't know Dylan and Bethany, and found it odd that they were sitting in their rooms and slept through the incidents. Oh, you mean somebody early on thought it was really weird that the fucking roommates just slept through the entire murder of 4 people in the house and didn't call 911 for 8 hours? Fuck, that's surprising. I thought that was all, everybody understood it. It was totally understood. Remember, these girls were scared. But you know what? A whole bunch of people are like, I think it's fucking odd that the roommates didn't fucking call somebody. Yeah. Now comes this guy's girlfriend, no pun intended. This is, I think, this guy's girlfriend at the same location, November 18th. Again, I believe with, we're going to find out with Homeland Security. Yeah, Homeland Security involved. So let's go. November 18th, this is a little while later, same location, Homeland Security still on board, same people still on board, and now they're having an interview with this person's girlfriend, I believe. All right? And it says the interview took place at so-and-so. So this person being interviewed, the interview took place at so-and-so's boyfriend, such and such home. That's who they just interviewed a minute ago, located in Parma County. Okay, beating it to death, the guy's girlfriend. On Saturday, November 12th, she's saying that she was at such and such college house located at such and such location on King Road. She called Gonsalves at approximately 10 p.m. and went over to the house, and Mogan came home from the such and such house shortly after. So my speculation and guess from before, 100% correct. This guy who was interviewed earlier, his girlfriend went over to the house, and it's that person, that guy's girlfriend that went with Kaylee and Maddie to the corner club that night, and was the same one who got driven back, which is super fucking weird. Listen to this. Super fucking weird that 3 people come back, 3 people went and 3 people came back. And yet, according to this guy's story, him and his girlfriend went somewhere else for the night and slept. So follow this logic for a moment. If this guy and his girlfriend went somewhere else from the corner club and slept there for the night and didn't come back to the house until his girlfriend brought him back to his place the next morning, how is it that 3 people go to the corner club and 3 people come back from the corner club as a group? It seems like it's this girl. That story also makes no fucking sense. By the way, the entire goddamn story makes no fucking sense. Pardon for all the rant. And I hope you're following the logic. If you're looking for answers, there aren't answers. There won't be any answers because there won't be any trial. Okay, so there won't be a trial. You're not going to get answers for this. But these are $1 million questions, I assure you. But we're never going to get the answers to it. All right. So again, this guy's girlfriend went over to the house with the girls and I believe rode with them to the corner club. And then her boyfriend, who was interviewed earlier, ends up going with other friends, including, I believe, possibly Jack DeCour, to the corner club bar. But maybe none of that's important. Gonsalves had contacted a man by the name of blank, I believe that's Eric, to give them a ride from their house. So Gonsalves is the one that called Eric Gower to give them a ride from the house. This person being interviewed, I believe the female, did not know Eric's last name, but provided his phone number and then gave the phone number. When Eric arrived to pick them up, Gonsalves got in the front seat, and she, this guy's girlfriend who's being interviewed, and Mogan got in the back seat. Again, we know there's 3 people going there. Eric had recently had a baby, and this guy's girlfriend being interviewed here asked him how fatherhood was. This guy's girlfriend being interviewed here said that Eric was feeling down about it and let out a big sigh. He said it was harder than he expected, and it's been kind of hard on him. He also said his wife and kid were out of town, and he was excited to have the house to himself for the weekend. Eric dropped the girls off at the corner club and told them he would be driving until about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to necessarily beat this to death, but the guy saying, hey, marriage is hard, the new baby is hard, but guess what? I'm home alone. I have the weekend without my wife. Could look a little creepy to some people. But anyways, so a whole bunch of motherfuckers that have redacted out here, and some other MFer, which I think is this guy's, well, anyways, were friends of the girls and were already at the bar. So a whole bunch of people were friends with the girls and already at the bar. This person who's being redacted told this person who's being redacted that he would also go to the corner club bar. Who knows where Jack DeCour could be, but Jack could be in that list of people going to the bar with the girls. Anyway, so this person being interviewed, I think, and so-and-so shared a class with a guy named, this I believe is going to be Jack Showalter. That's Jack Showalter, I believe. It's the same redaction size as the other instances that I believe are Jack Showalter. So this person being interviewed shared a class with a guy named, not a friend, not a, hey, my buddy, it's a guy that I know named Jack Showalter, who was also at the corner club. This person being interviewed began creeping something out by staring at her and making comments to her. Okay, so what the fuck is that about? So-and-so also spoke to so-and-so saying he needed to get her goddamn phone number right now. So some guy is especially fucking drunk, horny, whatever. And he's like, I need your fucking goddamn phone number right fucking now. He's super aggressive. It's creeping people out. That's what I'm gathering from this. And was being kind of aggressive. So-and-so, I believe it's Showalter, hung around the girls at the bar for a while. Now, who it is that's asking and needs their fucking phone number right now, I don't know. But again, Showalter is included in odd behavior that he's hanging around the girls for quite a while. Now, so-and-so said Gonsalves and Mogan left to go to John's Alley in Moscow. I think it's the person being interviewed. So the person being interviewed said Gonsalves and Mogan left to go to John's Alley in Moscow and heard that so-and-so, Jack Showalter went with them. So this person who knows Jack Showalter by name, reputation, and class with them said that she heard that the girls went to John's Alley and that Jack Showalter went with them. She didn't see him leave with the girls, but thought it would have been weird if it was true, because the girls apparently asked Jack Showalter to go with them as well, but he stayed at the corner club. Or, sorry, this could be Jack DeCour. The girls apparently had asked blank to go with them as well, but he stayed at the corner club. What I'm gathering happened here is that this person finds it odd that Jack Showalter was hanging out with the girls and left with the girls, and the girls apparently had asked potentially DeCour, I don't know, to go with them as well, but he stayed at the corner club. Now, so-and-so, this person being interviewed, I think, left the corner club with so-and-so at approximately 1:15 a.m. and went to the grub truck. They got food from the grub truck and went to blank's house at blank in Moscow to eat and go to bed. So again, I think the story is that this guy and his girlfriend went to the grub truck, or went to a different house and stayed there for the night and weren't home for the murders. I asked this person being interviewed why it would have been odd for the girls to leave with Showalter. She said Showalter was not someone she or the other girls hung out with because he was weird. Also, people said he was violent. Also, people said lots of things about Jack Showalter. But fuck me if the police aren't super interested in Jack Showalter, despite the fact everybody said the guy was creepy, he was violent, he doesn't know why he's hanging around with the girls. There's an exchange between the girls that seems odd. But you know what? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day because the killer arrived in a car and Jack Showalter was on foot, so he couldn't have been the killer or involved in any way, shape, or form. All right. He smoked a lot of pot. He had a temper and he fought a lot. So Showalter gets in a lot of fights. He's an angry, violent individual per this person. The girls knew Showalter because he was a blank or a member of the blank fraternity. So they knew he was involved, I will add, with probably the fraternity that DeCour goes to. I'm going to guess that he's been in the same fraternity as DeCour. If that's the case, then there's your golden connection between DeCour being associated with a violent person who's following his ex-girlfriend that night. Follow the logic. If I were going to do a crime, but I didn't want to have my name anywhere on it, I would get a friend to do it or help me out with it because I want my name off of it. So are these guys friends? Do they know each other from the fraternity? Does anybody know a super violent individual who can keep a tab on the girls for him and follow them and make sure, follow them out of the bar? Everybody's saying, why the fuck is this guy following the girls? He doesn't have any reason to follow these girls. Why the fuck is he there? I'm sorry. None of that shit is important to you, meaning mainstream media and fucking all those who are the guilters. Now, Gonsalves and Mogan had sent videos of themselves at the grub truck to a Snapchat group around 2 a.m. So just before they got in the car to leave, they sent pictures of themselves at the grub truck on Snapchat. So this person was asked if she had a stalker. They hadn't heard that. This person being interviewed thought that somebody may have been working at the such and such the night of the incident, as well as blank, 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 a whole bunch of redactions. Fucking, I'm not even going to make a guess. I think, I'm not going to make a guess. Then this person being interviewed said that there was a lot of Instagram accounts that were surfacing. The accounts had few followers, but were following many of the girls and making comments such as, "You're next. Thank God you're gone. Thank God they're gone. And I'm going to do it again." Holy effing piss balls. So somebody's creating dummy accounts on social media, Instagram, and taunting the girls. "You're next, by the way," or "Thank God they're gone" to the girls, or "Hey, I'm going to do it again." These are people, essentially, they're either epic trolls that have nothing to do with it, or they're people who are involved with the murders or knew about the murders and are taunting people about it because they're happy that happened. Yeah, fuck you bitches. You had that coming. That's the attitude. People are creating accounts to taunt and be like, "Yep, I'm glad they're gone. Fucking, you're next," or whatever the case. That shit should have been a top priority of the investigation. Was it? I doubt it. Now, this person thought that so-and-so's involvement with sorority girls was odd. He would frequently drop other rides for them and gave them his personal phone number. So this is Eric Gower. So this person thought that, I think, Eric's involvement with sorority girls was odd. He would frequently drop other rides and gave them his personal phone number. Why is this married man with a new baby all super excited about making sorority girls, hot little sorority girls? Okay, I apologize. That was fucking unnecessary. Why is this married man with a new baby having a hard time in telling girls, "Hey, I'm alone for the weekend. My wife's out of town. I'm having a really rough time of things"? Why is he dropping everything to take sorority girls around town and giving them his personal cell phone number? I'm sure it's fucking pure business. I'm sure it's pure business and nothing more. He seemed to pay particular attention to such and such members. A certain sorority? I think so. Certain sorority that Kaylee's involved in? I think so. This started with 2 sorority girls that had apparently graduated and passed Eric's phone number on to them. So again, this should raise to the level of super fucking weird. A married guy, older, that has an obsession with these sorority girls, making them his top priority, giving them this phone number, telling the girls that he's lonely and having issues and he's home alone for the weekend. But again, my God, that is not a very good alternative suspect. The panty sniffing incel from next door clearly is the only thing that makes sense. Now, here we go at 11:18 or on November 18th at approximately 2:23 in the afternoon. We've got an interview at the Meridian, Idaho residence. This is a female of the age of 19. I don't know who this person is. Hopefully it'll come back to me. Let's go. On November 18th at approximately 2:13, Idaho State Police Detective Millar and I interviewed some person at the District 3 Meridian, Idaho office. Now, that redaction name looks about the size as Jack Showalter. It looks like the same kind of redaction size as Showalter, but is that who's being? No, because this person being interviewed is a female, so scratch everything I just said. All right, so she's part of the blank sorority at the University of Idaho. She knew Ethan Chapin through his blank fraternity, and she got to know Xana Kernodle through Chapin. I'm just going to hit a few highlights. She was at the such and such frat house on Saturday night, November 12th, for a party. Chapin and Kernodle were at the party. She was with Kernodle until 2 in the morning. Listen to this. This person being interviewed was with Kernodle until 2 in the morning. Not about 2, not approximately 2. It sounds like it's pretty firm until 2 in the morning. She took a picture with Kernodle and then walked home. Chapin and Kernodle remained at the party, and she has no further contact with them. This is very interesting because according to Dylan, all of the people at the house, I think, were back at the house by 2 o'clock in the morning, including Xana and Ethan. And yet here's a person saying, I took pictures with Xana at 2 o'clock in the morning, and when I left, they were still at the party. So they couldn't have fucking gone home at 2 in the morning. Everybody couldn't have been back at the house at 2 in the morning if this person's testimony is true. But again, it's one person's testimony. So they got other people's testimony who say they were all there at the house that night, just pointing out inconsistencies. But who cares? There will be no trial. Who cares? There'll be no trial. Anyways, she heard that so-and-so was at the 1122 King Road residence after the such and such party. So who? This person being interviewed heard that somebody was at the King Road residence after the party. Another person. Blank is a blank and a PC brother of Chapin. Brother. There's a male at the King Road residence after the party that night of the murders, right? And who was it? Well, we redact the fuck out of it so we won't know. All right. This is another interview on November 18th. November 18th was a busy day. This is at Idaho State Police Department interviewing blank, blank, blank in regard to the homicides. This is a female of age 21 or 22. Now, the context may tell us who it is, but I got to be careful about this because I think I know who it is. But again, it's been a while since I read this. I think it could be Bethany. I can't remember now, but let's get into it. So this interview is being conducted. And here's the thing. This person, I think it could be Bethany, by the way, but I'm not 100% sure. I think the context will prove it. Had her blank blank present with her at the interview. This redacted part, what the fuck? It's not a person's name. She didn't have so-and-so with her. She had her blank blank. I think it's a family attorney. I think it's a lawyer. I think she's got a lawyer. I think she's lawyered up. And I think both of the girls, Dylan and Bethany, had fucking attorneys with them when they were being interviewed, unlike no one else. And again, let me be a little hypocritical when I say this. If I thought I was even remotely a suspect of a murder, I'm lawyering up immediately. In fact, if there's even a hint to me that I'm being asked about a crime in general, I'm lawyering up. But ironically enough, I was just talking to an attorney, and this is the one thing that John Ray, who I was interviewing for the Long Island serial killer case, said that I don't agree with. Nobody lawyers up unless they're guilty or if they have something to hide. I do not agree with that. I would lawyer up regardless because law enforcement's not looking to clear your name. They're looking to find a reason to convict you or find guilt. They're not looking to clear your name despite what they tell you. So even if I'm not guilty, I'm lawyering, I can't even fucking say that word, up. According to John Ray, he's like, well, you don't lawyer up unless you're guilty of something. I think that was the one area, John, that was one area I have to disagree with a little bit, but you're a defense attorney and you've been doing it for 43 years. So maybe you know better than me, but anyways, that's another aside. And I love John Ray. I hope I get to have another interview with him. We can disagree about little nuances and be fine with each other. All right. So continuing on, I think this person being interviewed has lawyered up and has a lawyer with them based on that. She had her blank blank present for the interview. All right. So this person's being asked to explain their day. She said that it was game day, college football. Her and her friends attended a pregame at the such and such complex at approximately 3 o'clock. She remembers talking to Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez at the pregame and was sure that she saw the rest of the roommates there. She remembers seeing Xana as well. At 3:50 p.m., she said that she left the pregame and went to the game that started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She said, this person being interviewed, that she was going to help Gonzalez get a ticket for the game, but Gonzalez decided not to go to the game because Mogan was not going. So Kaylee was going to get a ticket, but she decided not to go because Maddie wasn't going to go and they were going to hang out instead. After the game, this person being interviewed said they went to a place called such and such. And Kaylee Gonzalez texted so-and-so and asked if she was going to the corner club. So I think after the game, Bethany, said they were going to a place, and Kaylee texted asking if Bethany was going to go to the corner club. She's old enough to go to the bar. She's 22, so she could join them. She said that she would go after the fights on TV were over. So this person, whoever's being interviewed, which may be Bethany, was going to watch some fights on TV somewhere, right? At approximately 10:59, Gonzalez texted this person asking if she needed a ride. Gonzalez text read, "Me, Maddie, and so-and-so are getting one, so we can pick you up." This person being interviewed said that she was at the corner club when she saw the message. At approximately, so was this person? Oh, so it could be read multiple ways. This person is saying she, meaning I think Kaylee, was at the corner club when she saw the message, or it could be that she herself was at the corner club. Anyways, at approximately 10:30 to 11 o'clock p.m., this person being interviewed saw Mogan and Gonzalez at the corner club. So was Bethany at the corner club? Was whoever being interviewed was? Again, I hope I'm not wrong about Bethany. I thought it was based on the man, I'm going to be fucking kicking myself in the ass if I'm saying I think this is Bethany the whole time. At approximately 10:30, this person, could be Bethany, saw Maddie and Kaylee at the corner club. At approximately 11:30 to 12, she, the person being interviewed, I think, left the corner club with her other friends and a boyfriend and went home. Did they go home to the 1122 King Road residence? I think so. So this person being interviewed said they got home. Her friend blank was drunk and she was trying to put her to bed. Her boyfriend went to bed in her room. So maybe that's not Bethany in the house now that I'm fucking thinking about it. I don't know. God, I thought I knew this ahead of time. This is why I said we're going to get some things wrong, but I'm not going to go back and redo it. It's just on the fly shit. If I'm wrong, bust my nuts a little bit, but cut me some slack as well. It's been a tough couple of weeks. All right. I asked this person being interviewed, I think, how well she knew the victims. This person said that she met Mogan her freshman year and knew her through mutual friends. This person said that she met Gonzalez her freshman year and they were both in the same sorority. This person said that Gonzalez was her best friend. This person being interviewed said Gonzalez was her best friend. I'm pausing there. Ashlyn Couch, I think, said that at one point, right? Oh, no, Ashlyn said she was. Anyways, I'm going to leave that shit go. Scratch everything I just said. This person said she did not know Xana Kernodle as well. This person described her as being a big party girl. So she's a big party girl and would attend the same parties as her. Kernodle was best friends with a lot of the sorority members, I think sorority members. So it may not be Bethany. So again, I may be confusing the fuck out of things, really confusing the fuck out of things if it's not. Anyways, I asked if Gonzalez ever mentioned that she had ever followed or talked to about some weird activity recently. And she said Gonzalez never mentioned that to her. I asked if this person being interviewed, if Gonzalez had anybody who had issues with her. And this person said Gonzalez never mentioned it to her. The more I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it could be Bethany. I don't know. So anyways, this person said Gonzalez was the type to go. Now listen to this. This is the key part, regardless who's being interviewed at this point. This is the key part. This person being interviewed said Gonzalez was the type to go out and meet random people at places like John's Alley and would get rides home from random people. Now, I don't want to shame anyone, but there only seems to be a few logical explanations for this. Either you're as a female, you're extremely reckless when you go to a bar and you just randomly go home and she's meeting random people. So was Kaylee out on dating apps just going and meeting? Is that what the random people are? Hey, let's do a hookup. Let's see about meeting. Okay, I'll meet you at the bar. I never met you before. I'm just going to go meet random people. Where is Kaylee meeting the random people? But Gonzalez was the type. She was the type to go meet random people at places like John's Alley and would get rides from random people. So either she's extremely reckless, in my opinion, or she's an extreme floozy and she's going around hooking up with guys left and right, possibility, or she's making some money. And again, there's all kinds of money things. Now, again, I'm not trying to shame Kaylee Gonzalez, but what I'm saying is when you've got an individual who knows her and says, yeah, she's the type that'll go meet random strangers at a bar and go home with random strangers at the bar. What the fuck do you think that means? What do you think that means? She's the type that'll go meet random guys at a bar. Now, it doesn't say guys, but I'm telling you, that's implied. If Kaylee is the type of person to go meet random guys at a bar and go home with random guys at the bar, what does that tell you? Is she extremely reckless? Is she extremely friendly? Or is she making money? It doesn't seem right. Now, she said Gonzalez and Jack DeCour, I'm going to call that out. She said Gonzalez and Jack DeCour had broken up recently after a long relationship. Oh, that sounds like something we should pay attention to, law enforcement. Did you enough? All right. I asked this person where her house was in relation to the victims. And she said both houses shared. Okay, 100% I was wrong about Bethany. This person lives in a house that shares a backyard and chain link fence separating the 2 yards. Fuck me. I just confused the piss out of you early on. And I'm sure most of you were throwing your, no, DA, no, that's not Bethany, for fuck's sake. I get it now, right? I told you, didn't I tell you at the very beginning of this audio that I said at the very beginning, I said, I'm going to get partway through this and a sentence is going to tell me, shit, you were wrong about what you said earlier. That's this moment. I knew it was coming because I knew there was I remembered it. I'm like, fuck, if I get to that sentence, it's going to remind me I'm wrong. And I did, but it was weeks ago that I read this. So pardon my mistake. I hope you can forgive me. It doesn't change the important parts of this story, in my opinion. So this person's house is shared a backyard with a chain link fence separating the 2 yards. Sergeant Hoxie asked if she heard any strange noises, and she said she did not. I asked this person if Gonzalez had always stayed at the same apartment. This person said Gonzalez had stayed there all summer. She said that Gonzalez's room in that summer was on the main floor. At the end of summer, Gonzalez moved to blank blank's room upstairs. So again, for those of you who haven't heard my other videos, Kaylee was originally living on the main floor, the room that I think Xana was in when she was murdered. There was a lot of confusion that said that they thought that Kaylee was murdered on the main floor because many people thought that's what Kaylee's room was. But at some point, the roommate upstairs, who had a bedroom upstairs, moved out of the house and said that Kaylee could take that room. And so Kaylee moved up to the room upstairs. Now, I'm gathering what that means to me is maybe Xana and Kaylee shared a room for a period of time. I'm not sure. And then when a room came available where she could have one to herself, Kaylee moved up to the room upstairs. That room upstairs that was known as Kaylee's bedroom was shared with another person, meaning there was still effects. There were still personal effects of the previous person who moved out. I think Ashlyn Couch. I think Ashlyn Couch may have been in that room up there, possibly. But fuck, I'm confusing your narrative all over the place. Point being is that Kaylee was originally staying on the main floor at some point, and then it moved up to the upstairs bedroom. That might be important for getting shit right later on. But you know what? It doesn't matter. There's not going to be a trial. All right. So I asked, so then she said at the end of the summer, Gonzalez had moved up to the upstairs room where somebody else was at. The name redactions, by the way, don't look the right for Ashlyn Couch because that last name redaction looks a little too long. I think Ashlyn Couch could have been in the originally in the bedroom in the basement on the main floor. But anyways, I'm confusing you to death. So this person being interviewed said that she had heard from one of the girl's friends that they went to Coeur d'Alene for a week, and when they returned, they noticed the rear sliding door was open. This person did not know the date of that incident. So they're just more of that talk about, hey, we've seen the door open before. Sergeant Hoxie asked about drug use, and she said that she never saw Gonzalez or Mogan do drugs. That is consistent. Everyone says they didn't see Maddie and Kaylee doing drugs. Everyone was consistent that they saw Ethan and Xana doing drugs on a regular basis. Just keep that in mind when you're trying to get the story straight. But again, there won't be any investigation into this any further because the trial is over. Now, she said that she wasn't sure about chronodals. She said they probably had, but wasn't anything that was prominent. In other words, Xana probably did do drugs, but it wasn't a big deal. All right. Now, do I have time for one more? I'm looking at the time. I want to keep these to about an hour. I'm going to, fuck. I just scrolled too fast. And now I'm lost. Okay, I think this is the interview we just finished. I guess I need to go slow. Is there time to cover this in the few minutes left? All right, we'll do it. All right, this is a male now, age 23, being interviewed on November 18th by Sergeant Hoxie. Interview with so-and-so. The interview was reference to the murders, blah, blah, blah. The interview took place at the Idaho State Police District Office in Meridian, Idaho. Same basic location. Now, on November 18th at approximately 11:34 a.m., they conducted this interview. This person lived at such and such place in Moscow, Idaho, while attending the university. His house was across the street from where the homicides occurred. So this person being interviewed lives across the street from the homicides. He knew Kaylee Gonzalez since her freshman year at the university. Gonzalez also dated his friend, Jack DeCoeur, and him and Jack were in the same fraternity together. So, and again, another person, roommate of perhaps Jack DeCoeur, who is talking about he knows that Kaylee dated this guy. Gonzalez was in blank sorority, which was down the road from his frat.
He wasn't extremely close to Gonsalves, but was friends with her through their mutual acquaintance, Jack DeCour, I believe. So this person and Gonsalves had been, so Jack DeCour and Gonsalves had been dating since their sophomore year in high school. They were literally high school sweethearts. That's how I would word that. So they had been dating since their sophomore year in high school. He thought they attended Lake City High School in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. DeCour and Gonsalves had been dating on and off for the last few months because Gonsalves was moving to Texas or North Carolina after the semester. So there's some confusion. North Carolina or Texas. To give somebody credit, I one time busted somebody's balls because they said they thought that Kaylee was going to North Carolina. I said it was Texas. Here's somebody that said she was going to either Texas or North Carolina. Was that out in the wind that she could have been possibly going to North Carolina? But Texas seems to be where she was going. Now, he didn't think, listen up. He, the person being interviewed, did not think Jack DeCour, wanted to break up with Gonsalves. Oh, fuck, right? Is that true? Oh, is that true? Most people want to tell you it was totally agreeable. It was a mutual thing. It was amicable. Everybody was cool. Jack DeCour hung out and was perfectly fine. There are many people who say that is not true. And this guy is saying, I don't think Jack DeCour wanted to break up with Gonsalves. Fuck no, he didn't. She was the love of his life. He was losing the love of his life. If he was staying amicable to Kaylee, it was because he was trying to either win her back, stay in her close circles, hopeful that it was going to work out, or acting like everything was cool when it wasn't cool. But this guy thought DeCour didn't want to break up with Gonsalves, but DeCour was understanding. So he didn't want it to be over, but he understood why she was moving on. That's the consistent, everything everybody says. Jack DeCour was cool with it. He was cool with it. He didn't want it, but he was cool with it. He thought Gonsalves initiated the breakup. Yes, Kaylee left Jack, not the other way around. That is important for some people's narrative. Not everybody, but some people's narrative. Who broke up with who? Jack did not want to lose Kaylee. Jack did not give up on Kaylee. Kaylee gave up on Jack. She viewed him as a little boy and she was moving on to men. She was moving on with her life. That was a quote earlier. She viewed Jack as just a little boy from her past. She was now ready to move on to bigger, better things. Gonsalves initiated the breakup. There wasn't any turmoil in their relationship, and they were still talking and hanging out together. Gonsalves and DeCour also had a dog together, which lived in the house last year. So again, consistently people say Jack remained cool about it, but didn't want to break up, but she was moving on anyways. I still say that's motive, despite the fact that a lot of people come to Jack DeCour's defense. Let's finish this up. Now, this person didn't talk to him about his relationship with Gonsalves. So DeCour didn't talk to him about his relationship with Gonsalves. DeCour worked at the such and such place and the such and such place. He thought DeCour might have quit the such and such place. So again, little details. Now, he adds in here a comment that I thought was important. His house was 3 stories where he lived, and there's a whole bunch of fucking people, and he and so-and-so lived at the top floor of the house. This particular roommate of Jack DeCour's is the person who lives on the 3rd floor. It was a 3-story dwelling. The previous roommate that we interviewed lived with Jack DeCour on the main floor. This guy is the roommates who live on the top floor of that house where Jack DeCour is at. So just giving some detail to that. Now, approximately 11 p.m., he got to the Corner Club. So this person here being interviewed got to the Corner Club at 11 p.m. that night before the murders. He got to the Corner Club, and then while he was at the Corner Club, he saw Kaylee Gonsalves, but couldn't remember if she was with anyone. Okay. At approximately 12:30 in the morning, a sober member from his frat arrived to drive somebody and him home. So he's getting a ride home with somebody. Redacted. We can't know who he went home with. As they were leaving the Corner Club, they were pulled over for an expired registration, and the cops let them go, and he was driven home. Blank and blank got home 30 minutes after him. I believe that's Jack DeCour. Jack DeCour and somebody got home about 30 minutes after him. I believe that's the narrative here. At his house, he hung out and drank beers with a bunch of people and so-and-so's girlfriend and Jack DeCour. After hanging out, he went to bed, which was early for him. He never heard anything of Gonsalves having a stalker after her death, so they're asking about that. Gonsalves worked at blank place where he heard she had a weird person coming in for her. He heard this information from who? From DeCour? I don't know. Are people laying down rumors that Kaylee had a stalker to lay down a narrative? I don't know. He also heard from his girlfriend, blank, Gonsalves had a weird guy following her around Winco earlier that week. This information was from a third party. And then finishing, he wanted us to know that blank, he wanted us to, it's important. This guy is interrupting the interview. Hey, by the way, I want you to know, blank heard a dog barking around 4:00 in the morning, and blank reported it to the police the following day after the incident. Blank did not have any injuries on his hands, arms, or face. So it indicated that they were looking at this person as possibly involvement with the crime. They're checking him for injuries, hands to the face, whatever, because they think whoever got in a scuffle with the girls at that house had to have been marked and cut up or hurt in that fight, because there was a fight that went on, despite the fact that more and more news stories like People Magazine, I just saw a big one that freaking Harsh Reality did, saying 3 of the 4 victims were asleep. That's horseshit. 2 of the victims at least were fighting back. If not 3 were awake. But now all of a sudden, as we go on and there's not going to be a trial, we can start changing the narrative. And no, they were all sleeping, and this is why the killer could have done it in 90 seconds. Like they said, fuck you guys. This case will never stop being rewritten because there's never going to be a trial. That's it for part 3. I am so sorry for getting Bethany wrong in that earlier thing. It wasn't Bethany. I found out when it was clearly said that person being interviewed lived behind the residence. It was not Bethany. My bad. I'm not going to correct it. Live with it. I hope you're okay. Have a great day. Part 3 in the can, yo. Bye.